Hey guys, Joker the Fool here, back at it again, and this is the 68th episode of the Braxcast. Really nice to be doing this. Of course, Isom Free's fulfillment is well underway, and I got my copies of Isom Free, so I'm going to be going over the Signature Series. But before I go over the 4 Signature Series copies that I did get, I want to talk a little bit about Isom Free in and of itself. Of course, I did review the entire Ill-Advised arc as one video, and you guys seem to be responding to that quite well. Really appreciate that. And this is definitely a really good spot that Isom is left at in terms of the narrative structure, not necessarily in terms of the character development he's going to have to go as a hero, because there's definitely a lot in terms of him getting back into the game, accepting his role as a hero once again, and rectifying the things that in his past that were wrong. So that's certainly going to be very interesting for Isom 4. But narratively, the Ill-Advised arc serves as a really good launching pad for the Rippaverse, and with everything that has come out between Isom 2 and Isom 3, because of course Isom 1 and Isom 2 were the first 2 books released from the Rippaverse, and there was a long gap between 2 and 3, and in between that we got so much for the Rippaverse that's really established the Rippaverse as an actual comic book universe that, while there isn't all of this foundational lore that exists in something like Marvel or DC or a long-running manga like One Piece or Dragon Ball, the foundation has been laid. All those big cornerstones in my mind are there, and it's only going to get built up. And the Ill-Advised arc had a really good ending in Isom number 3, so I'm really excited to see what happens next in this series of Isom. So Isom 4 is going to be a very exciting book to read, and hopefully, like I said in my review, the focus is more solidly on Isom, because the Ill-Advised arc really served as a launching pad for the Rippaverse, as well as being the story of Isom himself. So Isom's story got a little bit lost in 1 and 2, although I think 3 wrapped all the big plot points up, and also gave us some really good insight into the character of Isom himself, which is really, really nice to see. But other than that, really, really cool to see the fact that the fans are, one, responding well to Isom Free, and it's also really cool to just speculate on what's going to be next for the Rippaverse, because we've got books like Norfolka that are coming soon. Of course, we've got the Black Eye Club and the Curse, which are the solo books from Jen and Sylvia Saska. I think Jen is working on the Black Eye, is writing the Curse, and Sylvia's writing the Black Eye Club, if I'm getting that correctly. And those 2 characters were first introduced in Isom number 1, had a very small cameo in Isom number 3 as well. So it's really, really cool to see basically all of the big stuff introduced in Isom number 1, or all these characters that were introduced in Isom number 1. We're talking the Alpha Corps, we're talking Naira, we're talking Michael Copper and Lilian Renashi, are all getting their own series in terms of, especially for Alpha Corps and Naira, and of course Bloodroof, who was introduced in Isom number 2. And even if they aren't getting series, Gooding got his own book, and he's getting more. Like I said, with Michael Copper and Lilian Renashi, they're getting their own graphic novels, and Norfolka is getting that limited series. So it's really, really cool to see that the fact that the foundational arc has concluded, it's going to be just all steam ahead on the Rippaverse, because you've had so much great content that's been released so far, and now with the Ill-Advised arc ending, we can really move forward and build up towards that first big event, which I think is going to be a while, but still that foundation, it's getting closer to us with that first big event of the Rippaverse, now that Isom 3 has come out, and with it the Ill-Advised arc has concluded. But that is enough talking from me. We're going to go into these graded copies, and I'm not sure if I can do my best at showing all of them off, but this is what I mentioned on the live stream, and I had my last episode of Braxcast Live I'm doing for a while, as I am moving, and on that I mentioned I got the A cover for Isom number 3, the Signature Series, as a perfect 10 mint. This is the crown jewel of my collection. This is, of course, the lovely Kanan White cover. Kanan White did the cover A for Isom #1, so it's only fitting that he comes back and does Isom #3. Absolutely knocked out of the park, and thank you so much to the Rippaverse staff for sending me a perfect 10 cover A. I'm sure they don't have too many of these, and now I have one of them. But this is absolutely beautiful. Of course, you've got the back here, which has got that cover B. This is, of course, introducing Lepredo and Max Salient. Of course, you've got Cliff Richards as the artist, Sebastian Chang as colorist, they both did very fantastic work on this book. So it's really, really cool to see this. And it's, I can't really show off the entirety of it, but I hold it to the side. You can see that it is a really nice slab. The rest of these are 9.6s and 9.8, so I don't have all 10s, unfortunately, but, you know, I can only get so much. But this is the B cover. This is the one that I read, and this is drawn by Jack Herbert. Of course, Jack Herbert is the artist for Great War Separation, who does fantastic work as an interior artist. Really knocked it out of the park with Great War Separation. Knocked it out of the park with this retro cover. Of course, you got the character box approved by the Rippaverse Code of Ethics. You got the fact that it's introducing Max Salient and the Savage Lepredo. I liked both of those characters, although Lepredo more so than Max Salient. Max Salient's role in Isom #3 is a bit muted. I'm sure he'll be interesting to come along in the future. And of course, you've got the whole family. So you've got Avery, Altona, Harriet, and Jacob Silman. Then you've got Little Vassy right there. So a really nice family picture. You've got this very nice solemn Isom, and Jack Herbert really draws this quite well. And then, of course, you've got Fontano's revenge hits close to home. What's wrong with his powers? And can Avery overcome his greatest foe himself? And then you've got the little signature. I'm not sure if you can see it, but if right here, you've got the signature of Jack Herbert having drawn the cover. But this is an absolutely beautiful cover, cover B. I love these retro covers, and this is a 9.6. So next, we've got the C cover. This one is sold out on the store, so you cannot buy this anymore. And this is the Will Conrad cover. Of course, Will Conrad is not only the artist for all of the Dokuman cards, he's also the artist for Gooding the Polymath, and hopefully he and Mike Barron are working on the next Gooding book, because when I read Gooding the Polymath and I reviewed it, one of my biggest things was that there's stuff that happens in between the ending of Gooding the Polymath and the beginning of Isom 2 that really needs to be explained and expanded upon for the readers. But of course, you got Lepredo right there, and you got Isom looking it's a really epic drawing of Isom. So I love this use of perspective. Of course, this is the foil and embossed cover, so it's got an absolutely epic look to it. And then, of course, there's the back. So that is a 9.6 right there. So next up, let's just straighten that out. We've got 9.8. This is the final one, and this is the D cover. This is the mass print. This is by Kyle Cacao, who's done some other covers for the Rippaverse. I believe he's done some for Great War Separation. I think he did one for Zalon, that really hyper-realistic drawing of Zalon, which I think it was the A cover. It might have been A. I'm pretty sure it was A. Either A or B. I can't exactly remember right now. But he did a cover for Zalon that a lot of people really liked from my memory. But this is an absolutely epic drawing of Isom. This is depicting one of the more climactic scenes in Isom #3, which I'm not going to get into because I'm sure people are still getting the books and haven't read it yet. But this is an absolutely fantastic 9.8. Love that use of perspective. Love that pose there. And of course, you got the debris in the background and just all that flaming in the background as well. It's just a really epic drawing. So Kyle really knocked it out of the park with this one. You got the back here as well. Absolutely fantastic to see. And really good work on all the covers. Of course, Isom 3 was a really good story. And like I said, for me, this is the Rippaverse entering into its next big era, and they are really set to do that because they didn't sit on their butts and wait for Isom 3 to come out. We've got hundreds of pages worth of comics that have been already released and are on the way. So Yaira 2, or excuse me, Great War Separation 2 and Yaira #3 our books are on their way. We're getting Horseman #1. That's getting its own ongoing series. And of course, we've got the Ripazine launched in between Isom 2 and Isom 3. And the 4th issue is open for pre-order, and the first 3 issues have been fulfilled, which included Ripazine #3 included previews, a preview of Isom #3, which I absolutely loved, and of course I loved the full Isom #3 in and of itself. So fantastic work, and like I said, it's really only going to be up from here. It's not necessarily in terms of like them making money hand over fist that I care about, even though the numbers are very healthy from my understanding. Edwin Boyette does the indie comics breakdown. I forget exactly what he calls it, but he goes and covers the sales numbers, and Rippaverse is basically at the top, and they've made like $2.5 million in just the collection numbers this year. But the economic measurement of the Rippaverse is one thing. For me, as a fan, as someone who reads these books and enjoys them, the stories that are being told are all very interesting to me. And with the fact that, like I said, the Ill-Advised arc, that first foundational arc has concluded, we really have a strong foundation to go forward to that first big event. And a lot of those stories and characters that are going to be involved in those first big events, their stories are already well underway. We've got Horseman's 96-page introduction and his ongoing series. So that's probably like, with that in #1, like 5 regular floppy issues. We've got Yaira #2 and up to Yaira #3 is probably around the same amount of content, a little bit more, because Yaira #2 is 56 pages, I believe, and Yaira #3 is going to be that same length. We've got Great War Separation, which is going to be 4 issues. We got that first one. Second issue is going to fulfill relatively soon, and it's fantastic to see that like really one of the foundational origin stories of the Rippaverse is already being told, and it's being told quite well. So there's just so much with the Rippaverse, and they did not sit on their laurels and just only focus on Isom. There's this entire universe that exists around Isom, and we're getting good insights into that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it all fits together and how that all builds up to that first big event. Especially the ending of Bloodroof #1 gives us some indication on who is going to be the one orchestrating, or at least involved in the orchestration of that event. That's all I have for now for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Joker is out. Thank you for tuning in to the Braxcast. Be sure to like, comment, follow, and subscribe to keep up with the Rippaverse.